There comes a point where time stops feeling like something you have and starts feeling like something you've lost. You stop counting days ahead of you and start looking backward instead, not to remember, but to measure how far you've drifted from who you were supposed to be, who you made up your mind as the future you. And the strangest thing is how fast it happens. One day, you're thinking about who you want to be, and the next, you're thinking about who you've lost, and realizing they weren't even real people in the sense that they could stay. It's weird because no one tells you how growing up feels a lot like mourning. Mourning the person you thought you'd become, the people you thought would stay, the simple things that used to make life make sense. Every year, something fades. Some part of you dulls or disappears, and you tell yourself it's just maturity. But sometimes it's not that, it's exhaustion. Sometimes it's the way life keeps stacking moments on top of each other, like some broken Jenga tower, like bricks you didn't ask for, until the weight crushes everything underneath. I look back on the small moments now, the ones that seemed meaningless back then, the messages I never sent, the words I typed and erased, then erased again, afraid to speak. The nights I stayed quiet when I should have spoken, the times I let someone leave my life without telling them how much they mattered. And I think about how those moments built everything that came after, how tiny, pointless choices decided the person I became, how they shaped the walls I live inside now, walls I didn't even notice going up. Would I have gone back and done something, anything different, had I been given the chance? What I'll tell you and anyone who asks me is no, and the reason I'll give is that it would completely change the person I am today, and how my life today is good enough for me. But realistically, I would go back so many times. Every moment I look back on could be different. What if life now would be so much greater, so much happier had I made those minor changes? A simple wave of a hand could brighten today tenfold, while each forgotten memory darkens tomorrow harsher than I could even imagine. Realizing the smallest things could have changed everything is the hardest. Maybe I would have met entirely different people. Maybe I would have avoided the nights where I couldn't stand myself. It's terrifying to think about the power of the inconsequential. The things we never notice in the moment, the choices that feel trivial, these seconds we throw away as though they're nothing. They are everything. People say everything happens for a reason, but that's just something we tell ourselves to cope. It's easier to think that than to admit that sometimes life just unfolds wrong. Sometimes you take a step thinking it's solid ground and it really isn't. Sometimes you make a choice thinking it won't matter and it becomes the very thing that breaks future you. And time keeps moving anyway, indifferent. Always moving, always leaving, always demanding that whatever it is, you keep carrying, even though you might not be prepared to carry it. And maybe that's what growing up really is: learning how to lose, learning how to watch pieces of yourself fall away slowly until you're left holding only fragments. Pieces of conversations you'll never finish, memories you'll never relive, moments that could have been golden but ended up gray. Sometimes it feels like you're walking through life surrounded by shadows of what could have been, shadows of who you were, shadows of everyone who mattered. And it's exhausting. As I said, it's exhausting to think, exhausting to remember, exhausting to keep going while these echoes linger in the corners of your mind. But even in that exhaustion, even in the quiet ache that doesn't leave, there's a strange, dark sort of beauty because these memories, once again, they mean you lived, they mean you felt, and even when they hurt, even when they remind you of how powerless you were, you are to fix things, they prove you were here, in this life, and you mattered in it, even if only in fleeting ways. I keep thinking about all the tiny moments I didn't take seriously enough, the ones I dismissed, the ones I ignored, the ones I could have changed if I'd been braver or faster, and I can't stop thinking about the people I lost along the way. Not because they left, but because I let them leave. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know how to stop them. Sometimes I wonder if maybe we were never really supposed to fix anything. Maybe we were just supposed to let it happen. Every mistake, every forgotten chance, every goodbye that didn't happen. And sometimes carrying all this becomes who we are. It shapes the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we think about love, loss, and life. And the thing about carrying is that It makes ordinary moments feel heavier. A song on the radio can make you cry because it reminds you of something you lost. A street you walk past can make you pause because it holds the ghost of a memory you never fully lived. A laugh, a glance, a word, all of it lingers like smoke you can't shake. And you start to realize that memory isn't just memory, emotion isn't just emotion. They are the architecture of your life, quietly rebuilding the walls around you without asking for permission. And so you keep moving, you keep waking up, you keep trying, even when every step feels heavier than the last. Because maybe that's the only choice you have, and maybe one day these echoes will change. Maybe one day the ache will dull, but until then, you live inside the weight of what could have been, and sometimes that's all we have.